Siri, what's the capital of Lithuania?
Hey, what you doing?
So, what did he say? Where are my keys?
Questions are a seriously useful part of communication. They're how we get information when we need it and how we get help when we need it. But questions can also be much more than that. We can use questions to encourage careful, deep, critical thinking, and we can use this with our children to develop their understanding and their knowledge of the world around them. But only if we use them at the right level for your child's learning. So in this video, I want to share with you a super simple framework for considering the complexity of different questions so that you can feel confident in asking your child questions that build language at the right level for them. So this is where I need an apple, don't I? I really do need an apple. I'm gonna get an apple. So what I want to share with you is a super simplified rundown of the language for learning model, otherwise known as the blank question levels, named after Marion Blank and her pals who did some research back in the 70s, looking at the kind of questions that teachers asked their students and then grading these according to typical development and the complexity of these questions. And they broke these questions down into 4 levels. So level 1, we're thinking about the object itself. What is it? So it's an apple. What is this? It's an apple. Things start getting more interesting at level 2 when we're starting to ask questions that consider all of that descriptive language, that understanding of how we organize objects around us. So we might ask questions like, where would you find this? What category is it in? Can you tell me about its parts? What are the different parts of an apple? What else? Could you tell me something else that's a fruit? So level 3 is when we start thinking about narrative skills. So the ability to understand basic sequences of events, start to make predictions about things, and to be able to retell a story. So if I told you a story about a hungry caterpillar that munched through an apple and various other things, then I might ask the child if they could summarize that story for me or if they could retell the main parts of it. So that would be a level 3 question. Another level 3 question based on making a prediction, I might say, I wonder what would happen if I dropped this apple on the ground. And then finally, we have level 4, which is all of our more high-level verbal reasoning skills. So being able to justify your thinking, being able to suggest a solution to a problem. So I might say, oh, there's 6 of us and we only have 1 apple. What could we do about that? Or, oh, this apple's got a bit of a bruise on it. I wonder how we could solve that problem. Level 4 is when we're also asking a child to justify their thinking or make some basic inferences. Level 4 is basically all of your why questions. So if you're asking a why question, be mindful that this is the top level. This is level 4 questioning. And there are lots of other useful questions that you can ask before you jump straight to that why. If in doubt, start at a lower level than you expect. Level 2 is a really great place to start. There's lots of useful aspects of language within level 2, thinking about the categories of objects, the function of objects, what we can do with them, other things within that category. So that's a really useful place to start thinking about things. Now, questions do come with a health warning. I often suggest that you give rather than quiz. So you only want to ask a question if it's going to encourage their thinking, if it's going to build on what they're doing rather than interrupting what they're doing. So before you dive in with a question for your child, ask yourself, is this question going to develop their thinking? Is it going to add to what they're doing, or is it going to interrupt what they're currently focused on figuring out? This isn't always an easy question to answer. We are always trying to improve our questions. It's something that we all struggle with. In fact, it was my New Year's resolution for this year to ask better questions, and I'm still working on it. But I think it's worth us being mindful of the fantastic potential of using questions to build thinking and encourage language development, whilst also appreciating that we do have to think about it and we can't just fire questions to encourage language in that way. So that's it for now. What's the main thing that you took away from this video? And would you like to find out more about this? If so, let me know in the comments below. Of course, I do like a thumbs up. Please give me a like and do subscribe if you haven't already so that you can join me for new videos every week. I'll see you later.